This public hearing to order, whatever one, please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call, please.
Jeff Davis.
Here.
Here.
Councilman Corey Oxford.
Here.
Councilman Bud Parkhurst.
Here.
Councilman Jerry Flutie.
Okay. Now we do have a quorum. We'll move on. Are there any questions about this agenda? It's the public hearing over property purchase. Have a motion to go ahead and approve the agenda as read.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as read.
Okay. Emery, would you give us a brief?
Yeah.
And then we'll open it up to comments.
Good evening, everybody. This public hearing is on the proposed purchase of a property located over in the industrial side of town. And the purpose of the purchase would be to relocate our facilities that exist over here on River Street over to that area of town into what I see as a more compatible area. The uses are congruent with the uses that have historically been there. And as a part of that process, that would open up this property adjacent to the river that the town owns to a possible more beneficial use. As a part of this process, we're also looking at selling property that we have to cover some of the cost of this purchase and developing the property for our needs. At the last meeting, we had a public hearing and we did have some varied opinions on what avenue we should take moving forward. And the council felt that it was in our best interest to open up another platform to further allow the public to speak on this potential purchase. So that is what I have to say.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
And some of the reason was to get it out into the open more. It has made the newspaper now. It's been around town, so I thought that one more public hearing would be great, and we'll go. So I'll now open it up to any comments from the public.
Yes. Thanks for the opportunity, Mayor and Council. I submitted a written comment last time. I wasn't here. I had a conflicting meeting. So my concern is about taking private property off the tax rolls was my concern. And they have a limited amount of light industrial, heavy industrial in the city to start with. There's other city properties that inside the airport fence that could be useful. You could move the fence. You know, there's been discussion of you can't do that, but you could, there's plenty of room up there across the fence from where you already have the stuff piled up, clear in that corner, clear to the dog park that could be used for city uses other than blank space on an airport. And the other concern I had is you really don't have a list of all the city-owned properties that are on the town ownership now that do not pay property taxes. And I thought a way to increase the tax base in the county would be to get a list of all those properties and make an effort to sell them and get them back into private hands. So they're paying taxes and thus might answer all your questions about limited housing and limited commerce in the city. I guess it would be a way to spur that kind of a development. Borrow money from the federal government at this point in time seems a bit short-sighted, and you have all the resources available if you actually generated money from them to cover most of your costs. I would think if it might be a time lag. And the other question I have is what is this zone that the town owns over here? Are you gonna make it so somebody can build a motel? The other question is whether it'll be out of the flood zone and what the marketability of that would be. Thank you.
Thank you. What is that? That's on,
retail business,
yeah, that's what I thought.
and it is in the floodplain.
Any other comments? Council have anything to say?
Not at this time, I don't think.
Okay. Anything from you? Nope. Okay. We'll reserve our comments for the meeting as we go into discussion on it. I see no one else. Do I have a motion to go ahead and adjourn this public hearing?
I'll make a motion to adjourn this public hearing.
Now a second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, we'll move into our council meeting. Everybody had a chance to look at this agenda. I have a motion to approve the agenda as read.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as read.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of last of January 21st minutes. Everybody had a chance to review those. Are there any questions, changes? I have a motion to approve the minutes from the January 21st, 2026 meeting.
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 21st, 2026.
Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to payment of the bills. We have deposits in the amount of $634,848.87. Accounts payable in the amount of $640,194.02. Transmittals in the amount of $22,982.23, and payroll in the amount of $43,688.17. Questions? Do I have a motion to go ahead and approve payment of the bills?
I'd make a motion to approve payment of the bills.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to correspondence. Jen?
We have sorry, my computer died. We have the sun. Rates are increasing for the 2026 year. You know, Honorable Mayor Chuck Davis and council members. Last year, the Saratoga Sun provided a discounted rate of $9 per column inch for all advertising from the town of Saratoga, This included public notices, classified advertising, and display advertising. Rising costs are impacting both the private and public sector. The Saratoga Sun, however, would like to formally honor our discounted rates for 2026. The $9 per column inch will continue to be honored so as long as the town of Saratoga meets an annual advertising spend of $30,000 per year. This is well below the amount spent in 2025 per Treasurer Karina Daly. We understand the concerns for tightening budgets ahead of the legislative session, and this is our part in attempting to help where we can. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Joshua Wood.
What I would like to do, I'd like to table this until the next meeting. Have a chance to talk with the newspaper, and this is kind of we'd have to enter into some contract or something. It's hard to guarantee what we're gonna spend in advertising. I mean, we did spend close to $50,000 last year. So I would like to table it to next meeting until we can do a little research on it.
I'd make the motion to do that, table it till the next meeting and look at it closer.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We'll move on to items from the public, and we have Representative Bob Davis here. He would please step up. Thank you for coming, sir.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Council and audience. It's getting time to go to the beaches of Cheyenne, so I thought I'd better come over here and get some words of wisdom from you guys, what your concerns are and what I need to do over there. With that, I would love to have some questions. Oh, just right. Thank you.
Pretty tax.
Property tax. That is,
That's a big subject right now.
yes. There's been talk of doing away with property tax. There's also supposed to be a voters referendum coming up in December or in November. And which would remove property tax to 50% additional removal above the 25% currently in place. They're talking removal altogether of property tax, which wouldn't play into your plan very good over there. So if they do remove it, what has been thrown out there is that they would increase sales tax. Now, this was looked at in Nebraska, and their early indications in Nebraska was it would raise it to like 9%, 9 cents on the dollar. But they come back with another study that changed it to 21 cents on every dollar. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here. How do you take and adjust property or sales tax for inflation, for instance? Like high inflation, sales tax, does it go up to meet the needs of the communities that would have to submit, in my opinion, vouchers to the pool to draw those dollars back out? And if the pool is short, where do we pass those shortages on? So, property tax, there's a different way of looking at it. I like to look at it as a service tax. That's what it costs society-wise. That's what our forefathers had deemed necessary, water, sewer, streets, sidewalks, garbage. I understand New York City has a huge garbage issue right now. The trash men went on strike there, and so they have a big issue there. So how do we, address that? To me, there's too many unknowns to throw the baby out with the dishwater. So I'm hoping that we'll see is that as these come up, that the 2/3 majority to introduce them is not achieved. And so then they will just die and then we'll revisit them next year or something like that, That's what I would like to see on property tax. I'd like to see the dust settle a little bit, see what the real.
Well, have they put together, my understanding, they put together a sales tax thing for here, and it was gonna be 7%, but they figured they'd be short several $1,000,000 and what the service tax, property tax, whatever you wanna call it.
I have not seen any information on that.
Okay.
So I don't know where we're at, just like you guys, not like you, but we do a lot of shopping in Colorado.
Mhm.
Okay, well, groceries are taxed down there and they're not taxed in Wyoming. Do we, extend that to groceries now? I'm just a little bit, I haven't seen what the layout is.
Has anybody provided any numbers?
Not that I've seen.
I mean, because they should be able to see what the sales tax was generated in the last 3 years and take that average at 6% and see what those numbers would be, I would think.
Some numbers out there and, but
It'd just be interesting to see the comparables between, what current sales tax rate is and what it generated over the span of 3 years average versus what property taxes in the state.
well, currently we have 4 cents on the dollar for the for the state, right? And 1 penny on the municipalities and then a 6th penny. And then we have our special districts in there. So question is how special districts are funded by property tax. So if you do away with that property tax, what is the revenue source that we as taxpayers have deemed necessary for that, whether it be a rec center or a special use area or whatever your special district is? So to backfill that is a big question out there. Where do those dollars come from? And then back to your point, I'm not sure there's a set number of what that rise is. 2 sessions ago, it was 2 pennies. We'll do away with 2 pennies and they had all kinds of numbers there and stuff, but that wasn't actually come from the tax as far as the distribution back to the communities. Because it's larger communities, Saratoga is 2nd largest in Carbon County, generates a lot more property tax than Hannah. So your needs are greater. So where is that formula at the pool to meet those demands at your community? Because property tax is generated by the people there, So I don't know if that number is actually etched in stone. And they said in the Nebraska study that that's what it would be, but Nebraska did not follow that because the other studies said it was 21 cents. And we can just hide, I guess, taxation, however you'd like it. California did away with, what was it, Prop 5 or, you pay acquisition value or whatever. But then you had a tax if you had too many trees in your house or on your property, or if it was a corner lot had a different tax. So there's different ways of paying that service tax. And if you go to the Wyoming Taxpayer Association, they've got a dashboard in there. You can punch in your community, how many vehicles you have, how much taxes you pay, and all these things. And it will spit out what you're getting in value for services for the property taxes you pay. And currently, I believe it's 6 to 1. For every dollar that you pay, you get $6 worth of services. So those services, that $5 in there, is being backfilled by our other sources, which are industrial, basically oil, gas, coal, uranium, trona. All those industries are paying the taxes to make up that difference. Did that answer even close to what you wanted? Okay. So what I'm hoping for is that we.
There's something to look up on my electronic device.
Oh, good. I left mine in the truck.
And I have mine shut off for just a minute. Currently, in the United States, there are no states that have 0 property tax.
We could be the first trendsetters.
Just what we need to be.
Yeah. And we have no, what is it, the state income tax and either? That's another trend, isn't it? So we're the 47th lowest taxed state in the union. That says a lot right there for what our renewable or not our renewable, but our minerals in industry has done for the state of Wyoming.
Which is what we have. It's all we have.
And well, with our investments out of our permanent trust funds and everything at the state level, what is it, $32 billion? The current revenue for the next biennium, this budget that we're working on, is $1.8 billion of revenue, which is 30% of the budget. That's just from the investments of the state of Wyoming. So that's 30% less taxes that we as don't have to pay. We don't have to source that revenue. And true, the market is up. Don't get me wrong. I mean, stock market's a hot place to be in, I guess. Not like South Carolina.
Isn't the property tax discussion ultimately gonna come down to school financing because the bulk of the property taxes do go to schools? So now you're gonna really have a big can of worms to fight over. If you try and fund that with an income tax, it'll never quit. You'll be 20 cents, you'll be 30 cents.
It could be, but you know, according to the Constitution of the state of Wyoming, the state of Wyoming will cover the cost of schooling. Currently, the lost revenue from the current 25% reduction is covered by the state of Wyoming. So that the schools are still whole in their funding model.
What is that figure? What is that number? That 25%, how much did it actually short the revenue to the?
Well, I do not know that number off the top of my head, but I'm sure it'll come out this year. Because this just went into effect for 25. Okay, made it retroactive in 25 and it included everybody. This year, there's some nuances in it. If it's your second home, you know, the whole bunch of different nuances in it.
Have to apply by the 1st of March.
That's correct. If you're gonna apply for the 25%, at least that's my take on it. But, you know, my question to you guys is, those dollars that we're backfilling education with, where did we bring those dollars from? Those dollars had to been appropriated someplace, because you know, so somewhere we're gonna gather those dollars up and short something else that is currently being funded by those dollars. That's my take on it. Yes, sir.
First question. What effort is being made to backfill this city council and the county commission on that property tax that was just passed? And I understand there is none from the county commission. So these people are coming up short. Schools are being backfilled, but the county commission is coming up way short. Do you agree with that tax that was done last time? And are you going to help them sustain it? I believe it's got to be reduced, extended. What's your position on it as far as what can we look to you and know that you're there fighting to get these people more money?
Okay, currently I did vote for the 25%, but last year in the budget, there's a surplus or supplemental budget. There was the backfill was in that from the House side, but it went to the Senate side and the Senate did not approve a budget and we couldn't come together for a budget supplement last session. So nothing occurred. So there was no backfill period. And that's the way it sits currently.
Are you going to push for a backfill?
I would like to see a backfill, but what do we backfill those dollars with is my question. You, where do these dollars come from? For this, and property tax, face it, it's service. We're requiring services for these tax dollars that we pay for our homes. So we're already tapping into industry for 5 out of every $6 to backfill currently. Where do we go from there? Do we tap into industry more to get dollars for backfill for the municipalities and counties? That's a big question. We'll have to see how it goes in session here, what the debate is on.
Since you said that Wyoming is 47th, and I believe County Commissioner Jones said 49th, so somewhere in the bottom of the pot out of 50 states. who's driving this? Are you driving it? Are you leading in any kind of leadership position, or are you just, you went along with it? You said you voted for it?
Well, and the original bill that came out of the House last year had backfilled from the House version, but not in the Senate version. So there was backfill that I voted for last session.
Okay.
Okay?
Bob, you're saying there was no change in the budget to the, either the county or the municipalities, right? It didn't change.
It didn't change because there was no supplemental budget in the last session. And the backfill was in the supplemental budget to, I wasn't gonna offset all of it, but there was a large sum of money that would have went forth. But being that we could not pass a supplemental budget in the last session, it stayed at zero.
So basically,
How much did you lose, Mayor?
right around $50,000.
Okay, the county commissioners are talking about it at every session.
I think I've heard numbers that the commissioners were up somewhere around 500,000, 400 to 500,000. You know, and it hurts. You know, it's something that we have to backfill then,
Yep. We have to tighten up our
And,
belts.
you know.
Try and figure out, think outside the box in order to come up with creative financing.
And we have done it, you know, but it's something that you definitely miss, you know. You want to talk about towns that lost it, let's get into the big cities. You know, I heard Jackson was in the millions. You know,
It's a little, let's not compare Saratoga to Jackson. They're on, drink a different Kool-Aid up there.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally different. But, you know, I mean, it did, it affected some of the, you know, there's a lot of smaller towns in Saratoga that, you know, that lost money. There's a lot of towns the same size as Saratoga that lost money. It's an impact, you know, you feel it. And
Problem with the property tax reduction is it was too large of a swath. We had 6 counties that were in the double digit on property tax. You know, mostly up there, Park, Lincoln, Teton, Sheridan, couple others in there. But the majority of the state of Wyoming is not suffering double digit income tax or property tax increases. So we took an isolated issue, in my opinion. We had a bill that would address that isolated issue. You know, use a scalpel instead of a chainsaw. But on the third reading, there was 30 amendments to that bill, which flipped it all the way back around to what the original intent of management was there. And that's what we ended up with the backfill in there. But we would sometimes take, and that's the problem with the state level, is we take an issue and we paint it all the way across the state. We don't address it. And that's part of that fair and equitable. That's just the way it seems to be shaken out. I sometimes shake my head, there's no common sense, but that's the way it shakes out. You know, it's a one size fits all for the state, even though there is nothing the same in the state. There's more private land on the east side of the state, and we have more BLM on the west side of the state. And then there's us right there in the middle. You know? So I think we need to take a more measured approach to what we're doing and see what the reactions are to these tax. Because we're talking about taking another 50% boom right this year. Well, we don't even know what total effects there are from the 25%. Where can you manage? You know, what reserves do you have? Carbon and Sweetwater have the 2 lowest reserves in their counties in reserves, dollars in reserve. You know, there's Campbell County got 50 million sitting up there. in reserves. Well, different, they have minerals up there, they have ad valorem tax. Well, we get some in carbon, but there's more over on the other side, or there's more up here, So it's convoluted at best. But that's why I'm here, is find out what your guys' thoughts are. Leave property tax alone, let the dust settle, let's see what we can do.
What proportion of the total revenue was that 50,000? What percentage did the revenue go down from property tax?
I don't understand.
The total sum of the property tax we normally take.
Yeah, you said it went down 50,000 from what your normal property tax revenue is or was.
Mm-hmm.
What 50,000 is what proportion of whatever figure?
The 186, roughly,
Yeah.
So it's 30%, almost 30%.
25 to 30 somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, I see what.
So that correlates with what the property tax did.
And that, property tax in Carbon County is 10 or 12% of the county's budget. The rest is the ad valorem and sales and use, and a whole lot of different revenue streams that come into that. So you look at that and so we had a good chunk of it taken away, but it was only 25% of that 12%. Does that make sense? And I'm sure it's the same way with here with the town. There's other taxes that you get revenues.
Mm-hmm.
And so of your property tax alone, it was it was 25% of the property taxes that we collect.
Correct.
And that property tax reduction is not across the board because the property that I own in Saratoga and Carbon County, I didn't qualify for any of the deduction. I live with my wife who owns her house and she got a reduction. But all of my other property is either commercial or rental of some kind. And my taxes went up, my property taxes went up 30%. I did not get any reduction from Carbon County whatsoever. Quite honestly, it's still a drop in the bucket. I don't understand and I think I'm on the same page with you. I don't understand what the pant is about reducing the property tax. We are ranked 47th in total taxation of all the United States. Many people, I have customers that move here and establish residency because property taxes are low, because there is no state income tax. Our sales tax is only 6%.
Right. So what you're gonna see if we remove property tax altogether, would we become an investment state for out-of-state investors? I don't have paying property
I
tax
think
on the
it's
rest
gonna
of it.
become more tax football with no end in sight in order to replace that. And my other opinion would be that if you continue to reduce or eliminate, you will never get it put back in place
Mm-hmm.
after we've all been slaughtered.
Damages.
The damage is gonna be done. If you go to buy a new car, you have to pay 10 or 12 or 15% sales tax on $100,000 truck. No, you're not gonna do this.
That's right.
Well, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to Montana and buy that truck up there, which, and being in the center of the state of Wyoming, we do not have those type of options available. Well, they are available. But for the majority of the people of the state of Wyoming, we shop locally.
I'll disagree with you on going to Montana to buy a truck. Well, maybe you could, you'd have to register it in Montana. Because once you buy a truck, I bought trucks from an auction place in Colorado. They charge us 3% there. state tax.
And then the title comes over and you have to.
And then we pay.
You're correct.
So then we pay another 6% when we bring it in here.
You're absolutely.
So I depend on, I mean, I can't even imagine what it would take to rewrite all the tax rules.
That's why I'm
What
hoping.
does everybody do in the meantime? It's,
I mean, dude. I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, and that goes back to the model that I've heard about is, you know, they talk 2 or 3 cent increase in taxation, and it was still gonna fall short of what they already have. So you're you know, I like the theory of, well, 2 cents and then they come back with 21 cents. You know,
That's what they showed in the Nebraska study.
yeah.
And Nebraska chose not to.
Well, I don't think, you know, I don't think it's ever been figured out yet.
When you're inventing a new wheel, sometimes you have to go through the spokes breaking off the wheel, right?
Correct. Scott?
One thing I don't think you need to lose sight of is the reason they reduced residential property tax, the 25%, is because people on fixed incomes and such as older people that don't have any further sources of income to offset what they were paying in increased property taxes, either have to move or sell and try and find someplace else. And that was a solid piece of legislation to reduce the residential property 25%, because there's no reason for budgets to go up 25% a year in the case of special districts on the mill levy, because it's inflationary that way too. But you have to really, there's a lot of people on fixed income that's going to be nailed either way you do this. If you start adding on to taxes again, instead of just leaving the 25% reduction is fine. It's residential property. You have to live here. It's not a Airbnb or a Vrbo. It's you have to be a resident to qualify for it. So I think that was sound legislation. To extend it further to all property taxes is insane.
Well, there was currently at that time, we put the 4% cap on there, so it couldn't rise any faster than 4%, which doesn't keep up with inflation for communities, as we know. And there's also a tax deferral where if you're elderly, you just don't pay your property tax until you pass. When you die, then your estate is sold, you satisfy your property tax. So that took that, and then there's, what do they call it when you're low income? If you make 150% of the poverty level, the state of Wyoming had a program to pay 50% of those taxes on behalf of you. So there's there, and then we had the veterans that was increased to $6,000. And then there's the 65 and had paid property tax for 25 years, you could reduce your property tax by 50%. So there's other programs out there other than throwing the baby out with the dishwater, is what I'm saying.
Agreed. I think we beat that one up pretty good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I will vote no for introduction.
Mhm.
Okay.
The only other thing that we ever talk about, and I spoke to you briefly about it, was, and I don't know if there's anything, but it's what the smaller communities have to pay for publishing. And we talked about, you know, statutes kind of got some gray areas in it and everything, but
I believe it was 3 years ago in my first session, that was first brought up because with the technological age and Facebook and, you know, all the techie stuff but anyway, there's some push out there to revisit that because nothing was accomplished. Nobody could come to consensus on anything. So I'm sure that it's been brought by a couple of other people. Whether it will get the amount of votes to be introduced, I don't know. I mean, this budget session we have, the budget, that's the number one thing they're there for. The governor sent a balanced budget to the state of Wyoming. Okay? Then joint appropriations does what they do, and then we hash it out there in the chambers. The other thing that we're in currently is the recalibration for schools, school funding. And that's another very big issue, very hot topic, So those things are gonna gobble up a lot of time. We're gonna be there for 21 days. That's not very much time. Last time seemed like forever. It was 41 days, or no, 37 days. Because we only get 60 days every 2 years, so. But those are the top two things that we have to address on the session this year. And the recalibration is directly tied to the budget, so it is a source of debate.
Bob, you're a little farther up the food chain than all of us. Have you heard any talk about that big mine up in Manchester opening up? Supposed to have all the rare earth minerals?
Well, I was reading about whether the University of Wyoming and the Department of Energy are looking at coal as a source of rare earth minerals.
This is supposed to have enough rare earth minerals like zinc and cobalt and everything else to supply the whole United States for 100 years. Which is what I read.
I haven't
You haven't heard about that?
heard anything, and that was,
It's right off of 90, right by Manchester, just south of Sheridan.
nope, I haven't heard anything about that yet.
I guess they got a lot of rare earth minerals.
And coincidentally, there was a place just west of Bags there on the Colorado side that the nation across the sea was looking at, buying it. But the problem with that was they had to take those raw products back to that nation across the sea for reprocessing. And then
I think we just passed something where we couldn't sell them no more land,
I
didn't
think there was something about that, So that deal has gone south, but this new one that you're talking about up there, I'm not sure I have heard anything. The one there at, oh shoot. Anyway, that is currently being built and they're going to process it.
right there in Manchester, yeah.
Yeah,
Supposed to be pretty big.
well, it could be huge.
Okay,
It could be the next boom for the Wyoming, We're a state of boom and bust.
They're just starting a nuclear power plant in Cameron.
Yep,
all right, well,
that's a boom for Cameron.
any other questions? Do you have any comments?
Do I have any comments?
Yeah,
Keep the home rule open, would you?
keep the home rule open.
Yeah, I've got some cards here. I'll leave them up here on the corner. And please give me a call or text or an email or whatever. If you have any questions and concerns, when we're down there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
It's a pleasure as always.
It's always good to work with the hardworking people of Wyoming that put it out there,
Well, thank you. Hey,
With that, I'm gonna take my dog and be burned down the road.
okay.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Good luck next week.
Have a safe trip.
We'll keep you informed.
Okay, we'll move on. Any council comments? Okay, we'll move on. Reports from departments. We have nothing from the town hall, is that correct? Okay, we'll move on to the police department.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I have no agenda items tonight. We've been just going status quo. Call volume's been staying about the same. We got Officer Fall is moving along very well in her training. Otherwise, everything's been going pretty good.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yep.
Okay, we'll move on to the fire department. Carter, did they send anything with you? Haven't heard. Okay, we'll move on to recreation department. Earth?
Evening, gentlemen. I'm here just to look to see if we can get a young gal hired for lifeguarding for the summer. Her name is Addison Collins, and she will be at the part-time rate $15 an hour for lifeguard starting out.
Okay, how many are you up to now?
She'd be, I think, nine.
All right. Any questions? Have a motion to go ahead and approve hiring Addison Collins as a lifeguard, $15 an hour.
I'd make the motion to hire Addison Collins as a lifeguard at $15 an hour.
Any more, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Outside of that, so volleyball last week starts next Monday, and then we'll have the championship next Wednesday. So it's been busy there. We've had wrestling meet yesterday, basketball. Yesterday we got basketball Friday for the middle high school. One thing I do want to bring up is the last month we tally every month how many people we have attend our classes. And it's usually on average, I would say probably 40 to 50, but I would say last month we had 196 people attend fitness classes that we offer. So I thought that was pretty cool. Outside of that, we put the new net up down at Betts Island for volleyball. I know some people have been requesting that, so that's up and ready. It's nice enough out to play volleyball at Betts Island if you'd like.
Great.
That's about it for me.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to Department of Public Works, Mr. Penner.
Okay, I'll go into a little bit of a report on some items before we get talking about the property purchase. So I did get some tires from Barker's Collision Center. I do go back and forth between Shively's encampment and here just to kind of keep things moving around depending on what we need. So if you guys are good, we can go ahead and pay this.
Skid Steer Tires. I have a motion to go ahead and pay Barker's Collision Center the amount of $1,080.96 for skid steer tires.
I'll make a motion to pay Barker's Collision Center $1,080.96.
Got a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
A couple updates on the park. We've got the three Never Forget Park projects are out right now, currently bidding. I'm working with Carbon Power over there at Kathy Globe Park. Want to clean up that parking lot a little bit this summer. A pole that's right in the middle, we're going to do some digging and they're going to move some wires and we're going to get the pole out of there, lower the vault so everything's nice and flat and clean that up a little bit. This summer, we're looking at some improvements out on the Lake Road. Hopefully having a discussion with the county about what those options might be. And then getting our road improvements lined out for the summer, bigger patches and sections of road we want to get redone as well. The bigger thing on the, and this is on the agenda, is we wanted to get cracking on the continuation of the Elm Street Waterline project a little bit sooner this year, so we're not getting into our road season as bad. So I've been working with EA. We're getting some design and some profiles lined out to get the bore done under the highway sooner rather than later. And also me and the guys, we had a discussion, there's a lot of things we learned from the last project that we're going to do differently, minimize trench size, things along a little bit quicker, doing a little bit more potholing up front so we can keep things safer and keep things moving along a little bit quicker. We'll have some material prices in some order and probably a quote for the bore and a contract for that here coming this way here shortly.
Okay. Sounds great.
It's exciting stuff. Rocky Mountain, this is number 14. They are shutting down for the winter. They did get into quite a bit, but impractical amount of frost in this alley that they're working on. Whether they are requesting a winter shutdown. If you guys are good with that, I'm good with it. They're a lot further ahead than we would have figured. The weather's been great, but this will change the contract times a little bit. So if you guys would approve the letter, if you're good with it, just so we got in record the date.
Everybody had a chance to read the letter.
Hmm.
Chair would entertain a motion to go ahead and allow me to sign this letter agreeing to the winter shutdown.
I'd make a motion to let you sign the winter shutdown agreement.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
We are working on getting this gateway signs installed. Those should be up and done by the end of next week is kind of the plan. We got one prepped and that up early next week and then the one. Great, get them. They're at the shop. They turned out fantastic. They look pretty good. So we're working on that.
It looked really good.
Yeah, it was for just some 3D foam laser printing and painting. They did a great job. I was pretty surprised at how well they turned out. So that's kind of the bigger items we've got going on. We want to go into the property purchase. I would touch base on Scott's comment. I did put together an inventory. And I think I gave you guys a copy of the lots last time. I was going to print those out again. I can't find where I saved my art map on my computer, but we have outside of the parks, like take the parks and all the airport property away. It's like almost 50 acres of land that we have in town. It's not including Kathy Glode or the open space up at Stocks. None of our, I never forget park. It's an immense amount of property. So I would agree. If we move forward with this, yeah, Corey has a section of it. If anybody wants a copy, I'd be happy to make it for them. Be aggressive with that and let's do what we say we're going to do and let's get some of this sold. And I do think it'd be an opportunity for people to get into some property and maybe make some things happen, put some stuff back on the tax roll. So if we do go forward with that, let's be proactive with that. I did have our legal counsel draft something up in case we did want to move forward with it. Depending on how tonight went, it is up to you guys at this point. If you're okay with what we have written, that can I have a resolution that would give authority to sign it and hand it over to the seller. And then if we do that, I would also like permission to get some appraisals done on properties in town to start the ball rolling with as soon as if it is signed and accepted. Offer there's no, but I think regardless, even if we purchase this property, I think selling and investigating and selling some of those properties is a very important thing for us to do. There's a lot of properties we don't need to own. So those properties that I would be suggesting getting appraisals for would be 3 lots on Bridge Avenue that are retail business right there in between Donnie's and Forge property. Parcel off of Cypress that we own next to the Conservation District's highway business. I don't know what we've ever do with that chunk. There is 12 lots right above on the corner of Bridge and 9th. That is split retail business and residential. And then it just, to see what these are worth up here, those residential lots across from the ambulance. I think those are something we could look at, especially where utilities are already there. They're imminently buildable. There's not, somebody could buy those and house on it immediately. So overall, that would end up getting 17 parcels raised various areas of town. And some of those we don't need to get to, like the 2 lots over adjacent to the ambulance barn. We do a corner lot and an interior lot. And I think there's sense in paying to get the whole block appraised. Those are sold off separately. So there's two avenues to look at. Do we want to move forward with the property purchase with the offer? And then do we want to get these appraised and let's get some of these on the market?
Okay. Is there any more discussion on the property purchase?
No.
I'd like to add something with what Scott brought up earlier. He talked about using that up at the airfield. I think we'd be running into the same problem we're already running into. We've already got people complaining about our piles and everything in that area. if the airport ever expanded, we'd be taking up room for that to happen. I don't feel like that's a real viable solution, honestly.
I think and I would say with this entire conversation, we can take in the knowns and compare them to the unknowns. And there's a certain amount of speculation involved in the future of what's going to happen, right? If we take this off the market, is industrial property going to get soaked up? I don't know. I'm not 100% positive. Are we going to get 100 complaints up there if we move up there? I'm not 100% sure. But at the end of the day, as long as I feel like there is sound reasoning for the decision. I feel like it would be a good spot. And at some point we will have to just make a decision to move forward or not move forward. And I feel like we've got sound reasoning as to the decision we want to make, but I don't want to say I can guarantee every tiny aspect of what moving forward looks like.
Well, I think the biggest thing everybody brought up is we could run into the same problem. You put it on airport property. I mean, yeah, the town owns the airport property, but you could run right into the same problem. What if they do expand? That airport seems to be doing quite well. It was laid out there for that.
And there's a fair amount of water and sewer line to lay to get to that. I mean, that's something to look at, and
There's, infrastructure up
Yeah.
there.
where the infrastructure is ready over here.
Where I think over here, it just fits over
That's
here.
good.
It needs to be put in a light industrial area. There's plenty of room for smaller piles. And, to me, I think that's the way to go. And I would highly encourage the council to move forward with this property purchase.
I like the location of it. 4th Street access, centrally located, zoned right. Truck route, exactly.
Yeah, we discussed that earlier. The truck route is there.
And up here, if we had it up here by the airport or anything, here's all the town equipment running by the school all the time, there'd be a fair amount of it. That wouldn't be as good.
So,
I would note that when I was on the planning commission in 2014, then the zoning officer, streets guy Chuck Bartlett came up with a big plan for developing commercial property on the airport.
mhm.
And they have them like in, down at Fort Collins where they have, the FedEx and have an engine rebuilding place that's on the airport.
Rental car
And,
companies, that kind of stuff.
Our planning commission was very encouraged by that. We actually delved into that quite a little bit. I can say that we were attacked by the Sioux Indians and took on a massacre from that idea.
Really? By like making an industrial park up there?
Making a business park.
Yeah.
And there's lots of places like in Colorado, they're all over, they're all little airports.
Yeah.
We literally ran into a buzzsaw by promoting that.
I knew it had been looked at, but I was,
He had, he spent a lot of time on that. He had maps and developments and roads and the whole bit. And we never got past that stuff.
I wondered why
It
it
was
is
pretty contentious.
I wondered why it ended. Well, I don't think that that's a place for a municipal shop area. To me, I mean, like you said, we got traffic issues going by the school. Yeah, I just don't believe that's the right spot. So,
No, it's not. And it was brought up at the last meeting by another individual that if we ever in the future build a new town hall and police station, anything, plenty of room there to do that. Well, that's a horrible place to have the town hall or the police station clear at the other end of town. Tourists aren't gonna wanna go up there out of their way that much and everything. I don't know right here's the best place in the world for it.
I agree.
town hall. But, and that's way in the future, I would imagine, when we're probably all gone, but in case it happens, it should happen here somehow. It would be my opinion of it.
Well, the chair would entertain a motion to move forward with this property purchase.
I'd make a motion to move forward with this property purchase.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
There is a resolution that the attorney, if you guys are moving forward with that offer, that we should have you guys adopt.
Everybody had a chance to read this.
Mhm.
I think it's a pretty good offer. I would say let's move forward with the resolution.
This basically gives the mayor the authority to sign the offer, deliver it, and then execute. You know, under his direction, execute the environmental reviews and appraisals as required. You know.
Hey, you have a copy, Jen? Could you please read this Town of Saratoga Resolution 2026-02.
Saratoga Resolution number 2026-02. Resolution of the Town of Saratoga authorizing the mayor to sign and deliver to the owner an offer for the purchase of property of industrial zone property in Saratoga owned by Daniel P. McGuire. Whereas the Town of Saratoga desires to repurpose property, aesthetically improve its property, and move its public works facility to a more suitable location. Whereas the Town of Saratoga Town Council had public hearings on the property purchase on February 4th, 2026, and January 21st, 2026. Whereas the Town of Saratoga's legal counsel has prepared an offer for the purchase of the property for $800,000 with contingencies allowing the town to investigate and ensure the financial safety of the purchase. Whereas the property is legally described as lots 1 through 12, block 7, Hot Springs Addition subdivision. Whereas the town council finds it in the best interest of the community to pursue the property purchase and give the mayor authority to execute appraisals, environmental reviews, and other investigative requirements of the offer. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the governing body of the Town of Saratoga, Wyoming that 1, the offer described and is hereby approved to form. 2, the mayor has authority to sign and deliver the offer as well as execute all investigative requirements of the offer. Any changes to the offer or signing of closing documents must be approved by the town council. Passed, approved, and adopted this 4th day of February 2020.
Questions? Comments? Chair would entertain a motion to go ahead and pass this resolution number 2026-02.
I'd make a motion to pass resolution 2026-02.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
One more time for discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. Now I don't know if in lieu is the right word, but the word I'm looking for. Along with that, I get these properties that I discussed appraised. We'd be looking for these 17. It's gonna push probably right around that 4 mark. I think we need to get rolling. You guys are okay with that?
So you want to go ahead and move forward with an appraisal on these properties?
Yeah.
What do you think the cost was gonna be?
In between 4 and 5, I think we're all 18 lots.
Okay.
I do have a question on that.
Randy?
I do a fair bit of business in that deal, not gone away from formal appraisals unless you actually have to have one. I've been doing broker opinions.
Okay.
For about a third of that cost.
Okay.
But I don't know what
that's what I have to look. If we're,
I don't know whether that's acceptable by state statute.
okay, I can look into that.
Okay.
So if it is, then I'd probably go that route. If it covers our requirement, because we've got to verify that that the property that we're selling, someone a favor or whatever. So if that would
Even
cover.
if you had like 2 different brokers do
Right.
opinions, so that you go. really? Or,
Right.
you know, yeah, we see your town properties, we're only gonna offer you $1 for it, so.
Right.
You can balance it that way, but professional appraisers are
It's,
a bloodthirsty lot.
yeah, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but. And the way this one's written with the bigger one, we'll go forward with the formal one. I'm gonna look into that on all these other ones. If it doesn't work, then we move forward with the formal ones. You guys good with that? Or you want, we can just wait.
Yeah, we can pass it on a motion that way to read
Yeah.
it. You're gonna look into a broker.
Yeah, the broker opinion, do a double, that's a good idea.
Looking into, yeah.
Or you wanna just wait and look into it and then look at it at the next meeting?
Yes, that works too. I just,
Yeah, if you would look into it and then we'll look at the next meeting and,
yeah, I'll get with Kylie and make sure that there's no statute issue. And
okay, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Okay. All right, thanks,
Randy. Thank you.
Anything else? Thanks, Randy. Annie, if you wanna come by tomorrow, we'll present you with this purchase agreement. And will that work? All right,
I want to talk to you
about what?
about the demolition and stuff.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right. We'll see you tomorrow then. Yes, sir.
Quick question, does that resolution require more than one reading or is it one and done?
Just one. Just one. And it just, all it does is give me permission to go forward where I don't have to have a council approval to look at stuff, answer questions. Anything final will have to be brought back before the council.
correct, that's correct.
You know,
It's a formal record of the process and the proceedings, just so.
just,
We're not looking through minutes of what this and that. That was very openly and very officially passed in an official capacity, so we know what.
Thank you.
saved a lot of time and. Okay. Anything else, Mr.?
No, nothing on the planning commission or the water and sewer. Board, as we've not had meetings since our last meeting.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Emery? Okay, we'll move on to the Recreation Commission.
We had a meeting on Monday night. Pretty much the whole meeting was centered around a board that they put together to help make the youth basketball program better. We had several coaches, actually high school coaches from Saratoga and Encampment that are on that board. So they're just gonna try to streamline it and try to improve it.
Good. That's good to hear.
And the next meeting will be on the 2nd of March at 6 o'clock here at the town hall.
Okay, we'll move on to the Saratoga Airport Advisory Board. I see they have a voucher in here for the amount of $4,940.28. You can read what it is. It's cutting edges and various things in the bill. Are there any questions? I have a motion to go ahead and pay this voucher.
I'd make a motion to go ahead and pay the $4,940.28.
Have a second.
I'll second it.
Any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We'll move on to the South Central Wyoming Medical Service. Their next meeting will be February 17th, 2026 at 6 PM in Hannah. Yes.
Do we have any ambulance drivers here?
Do we have ambulance drivers here?
Yeah. Because when I had to ride the ambulance here about 6 weeks ago, they had to fly me because they didn't have any ambulance.
What they do, what that pertains to is they may not have had a second call. So they couldn't let the ambulance leave the valley, so they had to go to the next step,
Like,
was a flight.
I was just saying that, you know, I wasn't in a life and death situation. I could have, they wanted to transfer me to Casper. So instead of just taking me to an ambulance or I could have drove my pickup, I waited 2.5 hours till the airplane did, or the helicopter. They drove Casper quick. And then it
Well,
occurred to me, I said, no.
That's between you and the hospital up here, okay? But that's why the second ambulance, they probably didn't have a crew to put on the second ambulance.
Well, just my concern over the whole situation is, I had insurance that covered it. But people who don't have insurance, their kid broke their leg. They got flagged in an ambulance because they don't have a crew.
Maybe what happens. That is not,
That's not your job.
it's not our call.
It's kind of, it needs addressed, you know.
Well, they are addressing that, and I can report upon that. The state wound up with a bunch of federal money. And now they've got to figure out how they're gonna divvy it out, and everybody probably in the medical field in Wyoming, and it's not just here. When you talk to, it's not just here, when you talk to other mayors and around the state and everything, it's really effective in the small communities where the ambulance service, a lot of it's volunteer. And they can't get people to, so they're looking at some of this federal money, coming up with ideas on what they can do. And we're even looking into it with them.
Sure.
So it is somewhat being addressed, but until they have more people to run the ambulances.
The EMT guy that was on the helicopter that night, he said, boy, I wish they'd do something about this. This is 7 times I've been to Saratoga this week. You know, it's like, you gotta do something.
Yep.
It's a, you know, be able to find a way to pay the crew.
Well, have they gotten a director yet?
No, when I talked to Steve, the last director, everything, they thought they had one and it fell through. Yeah. And I haven't talked to him probably in a week now. Well, it was at the last council meeting. He showed up when we were walking out. Yeah. So,
What got me thinking about that, Chuck, is that gal that works at the bank, her son got asthma and they had to fly him. And she had no insurance whatsoever, and they're threatening her to bankrupt her and everything, over $140,000 ambulance bill. And she's got no insurance, no money, and she's single. And, I don't know, just a bad deal, they'll bankrupt regular people.
it is a bad deal, and it's not just, well, it's not just in Wyoming either, but there is difficult in rural ambulance service in the state of Wyoming. So,
Well, Bob, we can want to talk about that, huh? You gotta wait. Yeah.
so, all right. Is there any other matters need to be brought before this council? Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'd make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, meeting adjourned.